Hey, good morning. Welcome back to all of our options traders. Well, if you've been following my channel for a while, I said I was going to start here in 2024 a new little segment called Idiotic Ideas. And the idea struck me from a book that I was reading that is just packed with ridiculously dumb ideas. I'm not going to release the book's title or the author. That's not my point. Instead, it's to make people aware of why it's so important to be sure that you're getting information from reliable sources. Now, this person used to be a big newsletter writer back in the day, apparently taught at a college level, and it still doesn't matter. People come up with unbelievably bad ideas about how to approach the markets. So let's take a look at idiotic ideas number 2 from this book, and that is to expect 1000% gains. Before we find out the details here, please be sure to click like and subscribe. It's always appreciated and helps to promote the channel. So this is a direct quote from his book, and he says, with options, gains of over 1000% are not unusual, and you can design strategies that will win up to 90% of the time. Now, I've talked about this 90% rule or whatever percentage you want to put on it before. That doesn't matter because price will adjust. You can win 90% of the time and still lose. The percentage of times that you win has nothing to do with your profitability. Those are two distinct concepts. So that's the first thing to be careful of. But what about this 1000%? Well, when you see claims like this about that you can make all the money in the world for no risk, these are what I call hype traders. They're the people that want to sell you services that are on YouTube and just touting about how easy it is to make money with their secret strategies. And they put a focus on the large percentage gains, in this case, 1000%. And the problem is that traders assume that these returns are repeatable. But you also have to understand that these are very low probability trades. And so traders are going to put very tiny amounts of money into them. And so the percentages might be there in a handful of trades, but they're not knocking it out of the park, which is what they're implying. So there are not winning lots of trades as advertised. You are not making 1000% 90% of the time. Well, that's also a big claim. How do we know that? Well, remember that 1000% is an 11-fold increase. If you invest $1 and you cash out with $11, that's a 1000% increase. Well, let's say that you started with $100 and you got a 1000% increase for just 10 trades in a row. If you keep parlaying that into a new trade, how much money would you have? Well, here's the answer. You're starting out with 100, you make 11 times that or 1100 bucks. On the second trade, you're over 12,000 bucks. Look at how quickly it just spins out of control. Now, this last trade down here at trade number 10 is nearly $2.6 trillion. And what's significant about that is that there are only $2.33 trillion in circulation in the US. In just 10 trades, you would absorb all of the money out of the US financial system. And now think about this, just one more trade, go to trade number 11, and you would have more money than the entire money supply. So needless to say, this is not happening. This is simply sensationalized advertising. So if we take these numbers and put them onto a graph, there they are. Now there's currently over 5 trillion that's part of the money supply. Remember, the entire money supply is not circulating. That's closer to 2.33 trillion. But in just 11 trades, look at how quickly you would blow past the entire money supply. So when you hear claims like this, the best course of action is to ignore the hyped gains. Yeah, it's possible that traders make small bets that look impressive in percentages because they invest $1 and cash out at $1.30, and then they annualize it and say it was 500% return. Well, it looks good in percentages, but it's not a lot of dollars. You could certainly invest 50 cents into an out of the money option. If it gets $5.50 of intrinsic value, or you sell it at some time for $5.50, that's a 1000% gain. Yeah, it's a nice trade, but it's only 500 bucks. That is probably not going to be life-changing money, which is what they're implying when they say that you can win 1000% 90% of the time. Just remember that your entire account didn't grow 1,000%, which again is why they don't do a model portfolio and track the progress. They just track the handful of trades that made a significant percentage increase. But the thing to remember is that these strategies and methods aren't sustainable. It's simply mathematically impossible. So again, what's happening here is that they simply report the winning trades, not the portfolio returns. So another thing to remember too is that there's always a long position for every short. And one trader wins, the other trader loses. So for every winning trade that's reported, there was also a losing trade of equal size. And so if everybody follows this person's strategy, how is that possible? How can everybody be on the winning side? You can't. You can't buy an option unless there's somebody who's willing to sell it. And so the thing to take from this is to realize it's just an absolutely idiotic idea to think that this could possibly be true. And for everybody out there, make sure that when you are designing your option strategies and planning things out, focus on your goals, focus on realistic trades and returns, and not on how to make all the money in the world for no risk. And for anyone who'd like to learn more about the arts and science of options trading, please check out the Alpha Trader course, Strategy Lab, and a candlesticks and technical analysis course. It's all at optionsatoz.com. Also, please join us on Options A to Z's Facebook trading group, and you can find a link in the description below.